Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, Team Mosso at the1916company.com for purchase pricing and availability questions concerning this watch. And this watch is the Audemars Piguet Royal Oak 15510ST, 41 millimeters in diameter in stainless steel. The example in my hand was retailed in 2025. The watch is 10.7 millimeters thick from lug tip to lug tip, just the case. 50.6 millimeters if we measure the intermediate link on each side. These are called the plots, these little intermediate links. Then the total distance across the wrist is 53.7. And I placed it on my scale. It is a weighty and impressive timepiece at 158 grams with all of these links in the bracelet. We'll throw it on my wrist, which is 16 centimeters in circumference. You can see it wears nicely. It is large, however. I always recommend people size up approximately 2 millimeters if they want to equate a Royal Oak to a round watch. So this is a 41, but it wears more like a 43, to be perfectly honest. It's not thick. It will slide easily under a dress cuff, but it's broad, and you can see that to good advantage down the barrel. I've got a little bit of clearance on each side of my wrist. A 15 centimeter circumference wrist might be able to wear this. Mine is 16. I would say 16, you're golden. 16 and up, you're golden. 15, you definitely want to try it. We have a 7-day no questions asked return policy, so if you want to try before you effectively buy, that is definitely something you can do. Here's your over-the-top shot. Let's take a look at the bracelet. A big part of any Royal Oak is the exterior finish, and the external finish in many cases surpasses the internal decoration. So when Gerald Genta, the designer of the original Royal Oak, penned the first one in 1972, the idea was to create a bracelet that just happened to feature a timepiece. He fancied himself a jewelry designer first and foremost, and so that was the guiding light of this design. As a result, the case flows into lugs, flows into links, and tapers beautifully down towards the clasp. You can see the expanding bevel of the case flank and the bevel along the shoulders of the links that continues perfectly aligned. We have satination across the top. We have polish of the ends of these intermediate links where you can barely see it. We have a polished facet to the rounded bezel, but you can also see satin, polish, and satin. And then we roll back around and we see that the edges of the links are vertically brushed, whereas the tops are longitudinally brushed. We have a nice gap between the links to avoid pinching skin or pulling hair. We have several removable links, and you can see that those links exist on both sides, and you can size these with a jeweler's screwdriver because they use screws, not pin sleeves. It's a very robust bracelet. It feels solid enough for an offshore, to be honest. It's a double fold clasp. You can see satination and media blast internally. It's a sequential close, one side before the other, and you have to press both triggers for it to open, so it won't open inadvertently. That metal finish I was telling you about, it is pervasive. You can see the character lines of the bezel continue into the mid case, continue into the case back. We have a hexagonal screw down crown, 50 meters water resistant. 50 meters with a screw down crown is my go, no go for surface swimming. This is a go for surface swimming, but you got to screw it down. You can see that the bracelet's held to the case using screws and bars, which is a nice secure way of building a watch. I prefer that to spring bars, less room for disaster. More secure, more expensive, yes, but a watch like this deserves no less. Note the hexagonal form of the crown. It is the same form of these bezel bolts, and they are bolts, which is how their slots can be aligned all the way around. You can also see they're a warmer color than the silver or the steel. These are actually white gold. So are the hands and the indices. They will never tarnish or oxidize. You can see a flourish I always enjoy. The polished inner bezel to the watch, which reflects light beautifully. We have the Grande Tapisserie, which is the large hobnail, but not the petite. Petite is what you get on a jumbo. Mega is what you get on an offshore. The Grand, as you see here, and the Petite both use pantograph lathe engraving, which is a nice vintage artisanal method of engraving the dial. The Mega Tapisserie is actually stamped, so this is lathe engraved, and if you get very close, you can sort of see the 10 to 20,000 tiny dots left by the lathe, which turns in circles. And so that's how many tiny impressions there are here across and between the hobnails. It is green. You can see the date disc is also green. The watch has a stop seconds function, so you can set it to a reference time. It also has a quick set date, so you can rapidly cycle the date. We're going to take a quick look at the bezel gasket, which is a very hairline styling element, but it is designed to be read as part of the style of the watch. On an offshore, it's much more prominent. The rounded octagonal bezel, inspired back in 1972 by a vintage diving helmet. You can see how the edges feature vertical satination, polish, and then a little circumferentially satinated lip. We'll turn this over. The movement in this watch is the manufacturer caliber 4302 that originally debuted in 2019 on the Code 1159s. You can see it's a large 32 millimeter diameter movement, 32 joules, automatic winding with ceramic ball bearings, 70-hour power reserve, 4 hertz beat rate, stops seconds, quick set date. We have a full balance bridge with a free-sprung Gyromax style balance, which makes the watch both more shock resistant and, courtesy of the free-sprung balance, easier to adjust precisely for positional stability. Taking a quick look at the rotor, you can see it has a lovely solarized center, and if you look very closely at the center of the rotor, the gold itself, you can see that it is also a rounded octagon. Then we've got satin on top of the metal along with high polish. If you take a look at this angle, maybe see if I can find a better angle for this. Yeah, from that angle, you can see how elaborately beveled the edges of the bridge are, both externally and internally, and the internal angles are drawn into beautiful creases. So the rotor is finished about a step above the quality of the movement itself. The movement's very good, though the bevels in particular are more obviously products of mass production. So I would call that out just as one price point factor that's evident in the watch, but very little else here looks like it was built to a price point. It feels like it was built to a standard. Everything from a properly sized movement to a robust sports watch style architecture, the improved beat rate and power reserve compared to the old 3120 caliber. This is a worthy upgrade to Audemars Piguet's standard in-house automatic. And this is a watch whose external finish is excruciatingly hand-laid, to the point that the bracelet by itself takes 9 to 11 hours to decorate by hand. So this is a beautifully handmade watch where it counts most, where you see it. Reach out to Team Mosso at the1916company.com for purchase and pricing details. And because we're not quite done just yet, I wanted you to get a parting shot with Lume.